Greetings and welcome back to 50 Shades of Beige. I just wanted to make a quick follow-up video from Saturday's video regarding the Alseye M90 cooler here. If you haven't seen it already, we did a quick review of the M90 cooler as part of our new series, Chris's Crazy Coolers. I got a couple of comments and some questions in my Instagram regarding the cooler and a request to see it in a build. And although I had some supplementary media with the build and everything, I just wanted to go ahead and upload this really quick and get it taken care of so we can move on to the next thing. So first and foremost, the Alseye Max M90, as I said in the video, I paid $39.99 for it on Amazon. I believe it's still there. It does have a 5-volt RGB header for the RGB strip. The fan noise is quite absurd. You're really not going to be able to hear it, but there's just one 92mm fan in there. It is not the world's most premium fan. I've definitely had better in a $40 CPU cooler. If you do buy this for yourself because you like the aesthetics, and I will admit, it does look gorgeous, I would hope that you have a 92mm fan laying around that you can throw in there that's a little bit quieter. In fact, it wouldn't be a terrible idea if you had a 92mm ARGB fan that you could daisy chain with the LED strip. That might look pretty cool, because if you see through the side here, even if we move all the way over, you really can't see the fan because there's no lights inside the cooler. So you might like to have the light shining out. But yes, it is indeed very noisy, even though you can't hear it. And I apologize, I don't have any sound measuring equipment. I'm just saying, let's put it this way. If you've ever heard an AMD stock cooler, it's about twice as loud as an AMD stock cooler at max. There was also a greater amount of interest than I expected in the case itself. This case is the DIYPC Q3-W. You can find it at Newegg for about $50 or $60. I think I paid $60 for mine. And since the case is so popular, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of it. This case, its build quality, the finish and everything is actually higher quality than what you'll find from most DIYPC products. I think they were forced to kind of use a higher quality construction here because they've got the 2 panes of tempered glass. Now, this is definitely a mini ITX to ITX case. I'm sorry, mini ATX to ITX case. You cannot put a full-size ATX motherboard in here. It won't fit. The MATX board actually fits comfortably. Now, when I first got this case, I was a little concerned, and in fact, when I first started building in the case, I ran into a couple of issues, but as I continued to go on, I actually found that this was pretty darn easy to build in, all things considered. It's got a lot of space to work with cables. It's got plenty of room for an MATX motherboard. And like I said, the build quality is great. So let's go ahead and look around the back side here real quick. Okay, so here's the back side of the case, and as you can see, it's a little unconventional. You've got your 3.5-inch drive cages up here. You've got space for a small ATX power supply. Don't try to fit some big, long power supply in here. It will not work. It'll butt into the fan grill back here. You have room for a 240mm AIO right here. You got room for another 240mm up top. You got room for a third 240mm on the bottom. It is fully perforated all the way around except for that front panel, which is tempered glass. So I'll give them credit. Plenty of airflow, good construction, as I said, and a decent amount of space. In fact, I know it looks wild in here and that's because the power supply that I ordered for this particular build has not showed up yet. So I just had this plugged into a temporary power supply, but even when I was just kind of building this initially, I found that I had tons of room for cable management. The only downside that I found is that the cable management hooks themselves are few and far between, and they're extremely shallow. So like, you're not going to actually be able to fit a full-size cable tie in here. This is really meant for like a zip tie or a twisty tie. But really, once again, it goes back to the price point. At $60, you really can't go wrong. One last thing that I did want to point out for some of you who might be a little bit more picky about I/O. So this front panel is pretty skinny. You've got one USB 3, 2 USB 2s, and your power button, your mic and aux and reset button. And the reset button doubles as a RGB cycling button as well. It does not reset the computer. That is if you're using the stock fans. So the case comes with 3 stock quote-unquote ARGB fans, but they're really pre-programmed. They're plugged together into a stack of Molex connectors, which once again, I keep reverting back to, if you think of the price point, it's like, what did you really expect? The 3 fans are fine. They're of decent quality. And one of the 3 fans has a little controller circuit board on it, and it runs to 2 little wires that go into where your front panel reset connector would normally go with, right? So when you tap up here, it changes the lighting effect, which is not a terribly uncommon feature nowadays with common budget cases. I just figured it was worth mentioning. And then here's a quick look at the back. The 3.5-inch drive cage comes out with 4 Phillips head screws, nice and easy. Everything else is Phillips, which is really good. There is no adapter for the power supply mount, so if you're using a weird size power supply, be sure to get a plate for it. Everything else was great. I really have no complaints with this case. I think it's a great deal for the price, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, thanks so much for the feedback, the Instagram messages, and the comments. I hope this clears everything up. I've got plenty more content on the way. Stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.